number wrong, more people keep signing on to the letter. That's why the number of prosecutors is going up. Focus on what matters. This Attorney General is telling you not to believe those 500 people. And the man who did the investigating, Mueller, clearly didn't want that to be that simple. So you have to take a look at the need for oversight. You have to let the process play out. I know I've been tough on Democrats about what the plan is, but that's because I see too much posturing, not because they don't have a job to do. If they're kept from doing their job by this president and any and all who help him in the cause of evasion, what else might they choose to ignore? That's the argument. Thanks for watching. D. Lemon, CNN Tonight, right now.
You just answered my question. I was saying, producers, as you said that, I'm like, 500, wait, does he have that number right? And just as they were about to answer me, you answered it. Because I thought it was like just 400.
That's why I'm here, Don. That's why I'm here.
No, but the numbers keep going up. All day I've been watching and watching and watching it as these numbers grow up. Those go up, grow. These numbers, and if you actually, what we've been saying over and over, if you actually read the Mueller report and you just read it as nonpartisan, and that's tough for people. It does not say what the AG, it does not come to the conclusion that the AG came to. It does not come to the conclusion that conservative media has come to. It especially does not come to the conclusion that the president and the people who speak for him come to. Complete and total exoneration. That's not what it is. That's why he's afraid for all those people to testify, because as I said to you, as we were having lunch the other afternoon, if you see those people on the stand testifying, Don McGahn saying what he has to say, rather than, and sound bites, rather than being in a 448 page report, then that will cement it in people's minds more so than reading the report.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. And look, I think you need this for the closure.
Yeah.
You know, the president wants closure, and you'll get that through clarity. Let Mueller explain why he left it the way he did. Is this something that he thought Congress was, not that it's his power to tell Congress what to do, but was that his expectation? Mm-hmm. And then, I think he's going to say yes, and then Congress should do that. Not overreach, but oversight. Go through the steps. See if you can find something that's worthy of action, and they will be measured on the basis of how they do that job and what their outcome is. Vote them out if you don't like the way they did it. But they have to do their job. Otherwise, the institutions get flaccid, and that's a mistake.
Listen, people are living high on the hog now. Those who are in power and in control and who are trying to block the rule of law. One day you won't be in power, and you won't have control of the Senate. You won't have control of the Congress. You won't have control of the White House. And then what? Are you going to say, well, all right, fine, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Ignore the subpoenas. Ignore Congress's oversight. Ignore that. You should always imagine what would happen if the tables were turned, and I don't think that folks are doing that right now. It's going to be a rude awakening when it does
especially in
happen.
politics.
Yeah.
I remember when Senator McConnell said to the Democrats when they blew up that filibuster rule, you know, made it a
Careful
simple,
what you ask for.
Careful, careful. Now look, with the emergency declaration, this president will be gone, but you don't think that some Democrat at some point is going to declare an emergency on something that all of us think is absurd?
Yeah.
Because they can't get it through Congress? Well, now you have precedent. Yeah. And these questions, they're really formative to the democracy. I know why Nancy Pelosi is saying what she says. I don't see any need for that kind of speculation about what would the president do about an election. I mean, that would be such a horrible thing to do to the process. I don't think you should even prognosticate about it. Yeah. But if you keep letting him say no to whatever the system demands, what do you think you're encouraging?
Yeah, well, that is the issue that Democrats face. Do you do impeachment? What do you do? Are people going to think you're ignoring the rule of law?
Well, he's forcing them, Don. I got to tell you something.
If you don't do it, yeah.
You push him back on these laws. You push him back on the subpoenas. You know what gives him more power than anything? Impeachment proceedings.
Yeah.
You're almost forcing them by playing with the process now and fighting everything to go down that road. The Democrats who want it are getting bolder by the minute. They're saying, listen to this guy. He's not going to do anything that we ask him to do. Right. We have to go down this road. He's asking for it.
They're between a rock and a hard place. Let's see what they do. It'll all play out, and you and I will cover it. Thank you, sir. See you later. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. Thank you so much for joining us. So, the battle is raging tonight as this administration tramples all over the norms that make our government, our democracy, work. That's just the truth. We're going to tell you why. The latest, refusing to budge on the president's taxes. The Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, denying a lawful request by House Ways and Means Chairman Richard Neal for the president's returns after missing two deadlines, which is no surprise. The president, throughout the campaign, first 2 years of his term, has refused to release his taxes, even though that has been the norm going all the way back to President Nixon. But this is just another page right out of the Trump playbook. And there's more. Another deadline defied by this administration. The Attorney General ignoring the deadline this morning to turn over an unredacted version of the Mueller report to Congress. Now, the House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler has set a Wednesday vote to hold the AG, the Attorney General of the United States, in contempt. Committee staff and DOJ officials meeting tomorrow in a last-ditch attempt to avoid the contempt vote. Where are we heading? Where are we going? When is all of this going to end? All of this is happening as a battle rages over Robert Mueller and whether he'll ever get the chance to publicly testify about his investigation. Well, tonight, the Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham tells CNN that he is open to testimony any way Mueller wants to provide it, but only about Mueller's phone call with Barr, not about anything else. So that's actually not any way he wants to provide it. That's the way Lindsey Graham wants him to provide it, right? That, as the House wants Mueller to testify there May 15th. So we'll see. Remember, it was only last week that the Attorney General William Barr said this about the question of Mueller testifying.
I've already said publicly, I have no objection.
So the president seemed to be fine with that, telling reporters just a few days ago that he'd leave the whole thing up to Barr.
That's up to our Attorney General, who I think has done a fantastic job.
Well, the president is doing a 180, which is getting to be his default position. Tweeting, Bob Mueller should not testify, no redos for the Dems. An administration official claiming that was just the president expressing his opinion, not saying he would block Mueller. In any case, Mueller's testimony about his own report is not a redo. It's answering questions about his work. And as we have pointed out many, many times, Robert Mueller is a registered Republican, not a Democrat. And anyway, what is the president afraid of? That's the question. What is he afraid of? Remember the day after Barr's summary of the Mueller report was released? The president said Mueller acted honorably.
Mr. President, do you think Robert Mueller acted honorably?
So why wouldn't you want Mueller to testify, to tell the world his conclusions? For weeks, you've been cheering the report.
There was no obstruction and none whatsoever. It was a complete and total exoneration.
The Mueller report was great. It could not have been better. It said no obstruction, no collusion. It could not have been better.
The finding was very, very strong. No collusion, no obstruction.
The special counsel completed its report and found no collusion and no obstruction. I could have told you that 2.5 years ago. Total exoneration, beautiful conclusion. I haven't seen the report. There was no collusion at all. There never was.
They said no obstruction, and so there's no collusion, there's no obstruction.
So why wouldn't you want him to say that out loud? What are you afraid of? Maybe the fact that what you've been saying for weeks is not actually the truth. I know, shocker. In a statement today, more than 500 former federal prosecutors said Trump's conduct, 500 of them, look at that, look at the names rolling on your screen. They said that Trump's conduct, as Mueller described it in his report, would have resulted in multiple felony obstruction charges, except for the fact that DOJ regulations say you cannot charge a sitting president. You cannot indict a sitting president. Now, I'm going to talk to some of those former federal prosecutors in just a few minutes here, but let's face it, it's no surprise that this president is trying to mislead you. After all, this is the president who, according to the latest count from the Washington Post's fact checkers, has made over 10,000 false or misleading claims since he took the oath of office. The president who today tweeted that he thinks they, whoever he means by that, have stolen 2 years of his presidency, which is just ridiculous. Victim in chief, all over again. Nobody has stolen anything from this president, despite his false claims aimed at stirring up his base ahead of 2020. And this It could be downright scary. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, telling the New York Times that she doesn't automatically trust President Trump to respect the results of the 2020 election. She fears he challenged the legitimacy of a Democratic win. And it sounds like he's already laying the groundwork for that, tweeting today about what he calls the Democrats' state-by-state power grab and accusing them of playing dirty. And the Speaker is not the only one who thinks the president might not respect the results of the next election. Michael Cohen, the president's former fixer, who reported to prison today after pleading guilty to charges including campaign finance violations, said this to Congress in his testimony earlier this year.
Given my experience working for Mr. Trump, I fear that if he loses the election in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transition of power.
So is Nancy Pelosi right? Michael Cohen, is he right? Is there really a chance as president, President Trump could question the legitimacy of the 2020 election? We're going to dig into that with Frank Bruni, Aisha Rasco, and Ryan Lizza next.
CNN Tonight, brought to you by Booking.com. Hotels, homes, and everything in between.
We all dream about our next vacation, but some of us turn those dreams into action. The bookers, the doers, they hit that confirmation button and let's goers. Because bookers know that the perfect place to stay is right there for the booking. Be a booker at Booking.com, the world's #1 choice for booking accommodations.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ready to treat differently with a pill? Otezla. Show more of you.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment.
Book now and enjoy free unlimited open bar and more. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure for strength and energy.
Audible Originals brings you big titles from big celebs, like Heads Will Roll from Kate McKinnon and Emily Lynn, plus the latest from Mel Robbins, David Spade, and many more. Original titles, big-name celebs, all made to be heard, only from Audible.
Guys, I've got an idea. Ooh, what is it? So people love iPhone XR, right?
Well, it does have an incredible camera.
And it comes in all those amazing colors.
Mm-hmm. What if we give the people iPhone XR when they join T-Mobile?
iPhone XR on us?
Yeah, iPhone XR on us. What's not to love about that?
For a limited time, join T-Mobile and get the awesome iPhone XR on us.
Attention on deck. We're zeroing in on IHOP's breakfasts. Brace for pancakes, French toast, or extra meat.
IHOP and Go acquired. Let's move out.
Breakfeasts. Order online and save $5.
Need a change of scenery? Kayak searches hundreds of travel sites and filters by cabin class, Wi-Fi, and more, so you can be confident you're getting the right flight at the best price. Kayak. Search one and done.
So here we go. Setting up a showdown with House Democrats, the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin's refusing to turn over 6 years of President Trump's tax returns. Also tonight, the White House trying to backtrack from President Trump's weekend tweet that special counsel Bob Mueller shouldn't testify before Congress. A lot to discuss. Frank Bruni's here, Aisha Rasco, and Ryan Alyssa. So good to have all of you on. Let's start right here. You're in the studio with me. Frank, we all saw that tweet from President Trump, right? We can put it up that Mueller shouldn't testify. Well, now an administration official is telling our Jim Acosta that Trump is expressing an opinion. He's not issuing a directive to block Mueller. Do you buy that?
Well, yeah, I don't know. We're going to find out in the coming days. But I mean, he clearly is rattled by the idea of Mueller testifying, and he should be, because when you put a face, a voice, a bearing to the words in those reports, I think it becomes very hard from that point onward for Donald Trump to say that this is a witch hunt, to say it's deep state, because we all know that Robert Mueller, as you mentioned earlier, is a registered Republican. I think he's going to radiate a kind of earnestness and sincerity that makes it very difficult to caricature him as somebody who is just kind of out on a vendetta. And Robert Mueller can also be asked a question that isn't in the report, and I suspect he would be, which is, if Donald Trump were not a sitting president, should he be indicted? If the answer to that is yes, and I think the answer might very well be yes, boy, does that have a profound impact.
If the person that was mentioned in that report, or that you listed all those things in the report, were not president of the United States, what would happen? Would they be indicted?
Right. Yeah. What do you think the chances are that someone won't ask that? That question will be asked, and the answer to that, I think, will have great resonance.
So, Ryan, I want to know what you say, because we've talked about this. During Cohen's testimony and others' testimony, they said the president or Trump doesn't necessarily ask for things directly, despite what the official is saying. Trump likes to send signals. Was this a signal? You think this tweet a signal to Barr or someone else?
Maybe. He obviously doesn't want Mueller to testify, which is somewhat ironic because he has claimed that the Mueller report itself completely exonerates him and is this great document that makes him look so wonderful. And you would expect, if he thinks that, why wouldn't he be enthusiastically endorsing the idea that the author of this allegedly exonerating report go up on the Hill and tell everyone about how he didn't do anything wrong. Trump's tweets they often don't have any relationship to his commands as president. That sounds odd to say, that when the president says something, it's sort of often meaningless. So I don't think it was necessarily, I don't think it was a command. I think it's just Trump spouting off on Twitter, which is what, just what he does.
So, Aisha, can you take us inside the inner sanctum as far as you can go, because you're at the White House every single day. So you cover this, you see it. Do you think this is some sort of damage control?
I think there's definitely concern from President Trump about what Mueller might say, especially now that we know that there were these letters that Mueller wrote to Barr raising concerns about that summary, and that basically saying that the public was getting the wrong perception of what the report said. So I think that President Trump is concerned about that. And I think when you look at Mueller and the fact that he hasn't chased attention, he's not out there, trying to do interviews, trying to, and during the whole time wasn't leaking, wasn't doing any of those things. I think that it's harder to say, even though President Trump has said it, that Mueller is someone who's just kind of out to get him. He has a very long reputation. And so if you put him on the stand to testify, what he says could have some merit with voters.
Well, as you mentioned, you said what Barr put out there, but there were 2 letters and a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have Mueller clearly very concerned about what was being said. And you have a president who was at that time and others saying that he was completely exonerated and that there was no obstruction, when that was not what the report actually laid out. And so when you get into the details of that, and when you have all of these kind of former prosecutors writing in and saying that this wouldn't have been a close call for someone else if this were to decide charges of obstruction, I think those are the sort of things that President Trump doesn't want to be brought up.
Yeah, more than 500 prosecutors, former prosecutors, now federal prosecutors. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Frank, I've got to ask you, there's the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, is refusing to turn over the president's tax returns to House Democrats, and they've requested that. Delaying, blowing through a few deadlines. Tactical?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be able to hold this up until past November 2020, and I think that's the whole goal. They don't want these documents to be seen by the public until after that point. I'm not sure this is the best kind of battle for Democrats to wage. I think most Americans at this point in time have made or not made peace with what an unethical president we have. I don't think most Americans would be surprised by what's probably in those tax returns. I would rather see the focus be on making sure Mueller testifies. I think that would have great resonance. And to go to Nancy Pelosi's interview over the weekend, I think Democrats need to really focus on not letting Donald Trump paint them into some false lefty corner as baby killers and Jew haters and socialists, because avoiding that trap, which Trump is trying to set for them, is what's going to be key to what happens in November 2020.
So how do you have control of the House? You have control over oversight, you have subpoena power, and then you don't let him, you don't make him or his folks do what your powers?
Well, I think they're on the side of morally they're on the side of the angels, and I think in terms of procedure and precedent they are doing the right things. Right. I just don't want to see all the energy go there, and if they think that's the way they're going to keep him from a second term, I think they're wrong. I think to keep him from a second term they have to do a whole lot
strategically else. It's to keep him from a second term rather than prove a point about their power as oversight and the rule of law and the
right. And he's great at playing the victim, and there are some Americans who after a certain point in time think, like, why is this still going on?
Hey, Ryan, I'm going to put up this because this is a recent poll from Gallup. Despite all this chaos, check this out. President Trump hit a new high, 46%. I'm going to point out that the poll ended on April 30th. This was before Barr testified and before we saw the full Mueller letter, I said, raising questions about Barr's handling of the Mueller report. How do you read this?
You know, the positive way to read it is if you look at the inside the poll, Republicans have been with Trump, 90% for a long time. That hasn't changed in this poll, but there's some modest improvement among Democrats and independents, and I mean, modest, single digits. So what's explaining that? Perhaps it's the Mueller report. That first wave of news being about that this wasn't a terrible report for Trump, partly because of the way that Barr spun it. But the overwhelming thing that drives presidential approval is the economy. And Trump is overseeing a very strong economy, very low unemployment, 3.2% growth. And presidents who oversee good economies and don't get us into wars where people are coming home in body bags, they generally have high approval ratings and get reelected. Mm-hmm. So you might ask, why is his approval rating only in the 40s given the state of the economy? So. Mm-hmm. There's something about Trump that does not allow him to get over 50%. I think he's the only president that's never been over 50% in the Gallup poll. So, he's an unusual case. Strong economy, but can't quite get up where other presidents have been.
Well, I've got to say, and the answer, Aisha, is partly in Frank's answer, considering the economy that President Obama had. But I do have to say that President Obama was polling at 43, 44 at this time in his presidency. So Trump doesn't, like his predecessor, but this is good news for him, no?
It is good news for him, and to be at 46%, to be at that level, that's great news for him, because often he's kind of stuck in this very narrow range, and so to get kind of to the higher 40s for him, when you look at his record, that's good. And he's banking on having a strong economy. When you talk to people who are working to get President Trump reelected, that's what they're most concerned about, even more than whoever the Democratic nominee is. They're worried about something going wrong in the economy because they know that's what Trump has in his back pocket right now.
That's why Frank says be strategic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why Trump's so obsessed with the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Over 500 bipartisan former federal prosecutors, we just talked about it, they say President Trump obstructed justice. And there's one thing keeping him from being indicted. Two of those over 500 prosecutors will explain next.
Thursday, former FBI Director James Comey and AC360 Town Hall, live from D.C.
People who know better have to have the courage to stand up and speak the truth.
Anderson Cooper moderates Thursday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta explores Italy and how faith brings healing to some Italians.
When people leave here, what do they tell you?
Can believing in a higher power add years to your life? Chasing Life, Saturday night at 9 Eastern.
When you pay attention to the little things, big things happen. You make bigger plans, set higher goals. The new 2019 Ram Heavy Duty, the capability you need, and things you never imagined in a truck this powerful. Every little thing for those who are on to bigger things.
Get 0% financing for 72 months or an average $9,950 in total values on the 2018 Ram 2500 with a Cummins diesel engine.
When it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. It's no wonder Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/sponsor.
We deliver by delivering.
At Wayfair.com, we think that when the big stuff ships free, it's just better.
Cover better, brunch better, crunch better, rock better, roll better, whoa better, dream better, clean better, yeah, better!
Oh, Wayfair has free shipping. Game changer.
Fast better, free better, everything's better when it's
Get free shipping on orders over $49. Shop better at Wayfair.com.
Wayfair, you've got just what I need.
How do you wind up pulling the trigger and a young woman dies?
I never knew the violence that I was capable of.
There are some things I want to say to him that I've been carrying around.
The Redemption Project with Van Jones, Sunday at 9.
When you feel heartburn up in your throat, you'll do anything to get relief. Try new Rolaids Heartburn Soothers. They melt to leave a cooling sensation, while they start working as fast as now to relieve heartburn. Soothe the burn with Rolaids.
This is not a bed. It's a revolution in sleep. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed from $9.99 senses your movement and automatically adjusts on each side to keep you both comfortable. And snoring? How smart is that? Smarter sleep, so you can come out swinging, maintain your inner focus, and wake up rested and ready for anything. Sleep Number is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses by J.D. Power. Save $400 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds, only for a limited time.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist recommended supplement for heart health. I take Cunol CoQ10. Why? Because Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
In a stunning rebuke, over 500 former federal prosecutors from previous Republican and Democratic administrations say that President Trump obstructed justice and that he would have been indicted if he was not the President of the United States. Some of those former prosecutors have upwards of 40 years of DOJ service. Some worked for the Eisenhower and the Kennedy administrations. The letter says, quote, "Each of us believes that the conduct of President Trump described in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report would, in the case of any other person not covered by the Office of Legal Counsel policy against indicting a sitting president, result in multiple felony charges for obstruction of justice." Joining me now, 2 former prosecutors who signed that letter, Paul Rosenzweig and Noah Bookbinder. Thank you both for coming on, and I appreciate it. Good evening to you. Paul, you worked for Ken Starr. Do you know the law and the politics of all of this? Why did you choose to sign on to this letter?
Well, for me, there were 2 reasons. The first, as is a matter of public policy, is that much of the report has been obscured by commentary and summaries of summaries. I thought it was important to say what I thought the report itself actually contained. On a personal level, the virtue of intellectual consistency. It is consistent with the view that I took 20 years ago when I worked for Judge Starr in the investigation of Bill Clinton, and it seems to me important at this time for people who believe in the rule of law to maintain a consistent view of it.
Intellectual consistency is something that is lacking, and I'm glad you said that term. Interesting. No, I want to talk to you right now. What about you? Why is it important for you to join hundreds of your former colleagues in this statement?
Well, I think that there's been tremendous misperception and misinformation about what the Mueller report actually says. That Attorney General Barr got out there before the report came out with a version of what it said, which it turned out had very little resemblance to what the report actually says. And so then when the report came out, I think there was a lot of confusion. And it's really important for people who can bring some authority and say, we are former prosecutors who brought these kinds of cases, worked in all kinds of different time periods and administrations. And as we look at this evidence that Robert Mueller laid out in hundreds of pages, it is extremely clear that there was serious misconduct, and not just serious misconduct, but criminal misconduct that could be charged and would have been charged, but for the specific policies saying that a sitting president cannot be charged with criminal activity.
Paul, after reading the report, do you think the special counsel believes the president committed a crime? And if so, why did he just say so in his report?
Well, I'll have to be honest with you. I'm a little critical of the special counsel for not taking that last step and saving us all the trouble of having to kind of guess at his motivation. I understand why he was hesitant, but it turns out in the end that perhaps he reposed too much confidence in the Attorney General to be fair with his report. I think it is abundantly clear, if you read the report, that he made out the elements of an obstruction offense on at least 4, and in my reading 8 instances of conduct by the president, and that but for the policy against indictment of a sitting president, it is the type of conduct that would have resulted in the presentation of charges to a grand jury.
So you thought that he should come to a conclusion, is that what you're saying?
I think he should have, and he would have done the American public a better service. I don't want to be too critical of him because he's in a very difficult position. Obviously, in a case where he can't actually bring the indictment, he's offering what would turn out to be an advisory opinion.
So should he have been clear in that, saying, listen, I cannot bring an indictment, although I do think the president obstructed justice, I can't. Do you think he should have been clearer in that?
I think that would have been much better for the American people, and I wish he had done that. I think that, in effect, he tried to say that without saying it explicitly, and it left a room for the misinterpretation of what he was saying.
What do you think, Noah?
I agree with that. I respect the restraint that Special Counsel Mueller showed, that he felt like he didn't want to go beyond what he was allowed to do under department policy, and he felt like if he couldn't bring an indictment, that it wouldn't be fair to say that he would have brought an indictment, but then to be in a position where the president couldn't defend himself.
So it's almost like Comey. It's like saying, "Oh, we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton, but she did act recklessly or what have you." They were trying to avoid that.
I think that's right. I think the problem is that the president and his attorney general have gotten out there with their view of it before people could evaluate the facts that Mueller put out there. And Special Counsel Mueller was very clear that if he felt like the facts and the law exonerated the president, he would have said so. He didn't say it. He laid out the elements of the crime and how those were met on multiple occasions. So all the pieces are there to draw a firm conclusion. I do think it would have been easier for people if he had connected those dots. But it's all there. I think he had very good reasons for not doing so. And if we were in kind of a playing field where people were playing fair, people could have drawn those conclusions. But the problem is that kind of the well was poisoned before most people even looked at the report. That's what this letter tried to do, is to kind of come back and say, no. If people who understand what these cases look like are drawing these firm conclusions that there was obstruction of justice, and that's due some deference in spite of the misinformation that has been put out there.
I think, listen, maybe he should have read the political tea leaves. Maybe that's not his job, because the country is so divided that, as many have said all along, this is going to be a political Rorschach test, right? What was to come out of the Mueller report, unless it was very, very explicit. And still, people would think what they want anyways. Thank you both. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Democrats are trying to get the unredacted version of the Mueller report, but the Trump administration is stonewalling them at every turn. Well, how can they fight back? I'm going to ask Congressman Ted Lieu. He's next.
Be the first to play console-quality multiplayer games on the go. Be first to real-time with Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. Get the new Samsung Galaxy S10 5G on Verizon.
What is love? Two hearts, one soul, a kiss, a hug, a laugh. It's passion. It's freedom. It's mystery. It's the journey and the destination. It's vows made and promises kept. It's a feeling, a need, no rules. All included, all unlimited. Feed your hunger, quench your thirst, live your dreams. Fulfilled, indulged, reborn. What is love? Love is all you need. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Girl, Pepto Ultra Coating will treat your stomach right.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try Pepto with Ultra Coating.
I feel my temperature rising. Help me, I'm flaming. I must be hungry tonight.
Applebee's Bigger, Bolder Grill Combos. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
We'd heard of Angie's List, but we didn't really know what it did.
I know they've got reviews for home pros, but so do a lot of websites.
I didn't want to pay to join. Then I found out it's free.
Wait, it's free?
Free to check ratings, read reviews.
And Angie's List reviews are written by real customers. So I know the pros have done quality work.
And now they'll even match my project with a few qualified pros for the job.
And it's all free.
To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today. Need a change of scenery? Kayak searches hundreds of travel sites and lets you see how your baggage will affect the cost of your flight, so you can be confident you're getting the right flight at the best price. Kayak. Search one and done.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader or iPhone and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the new Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us. Beautiful, isn't it? Just wait till you get to the register. Introducing new lower prices on produce. Attaboy.
Thursday, former FBI Director James Comey and AC360 Town Hall, live from D.C.
People who know better have to have the courage to stand up and speak the truth.
Anderson Cooper moderates, Thursday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
May is Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month and peak season for the more than 50 million Americans that suffer.
Quincy was a premature baby. He started off with asthma. He's now allergic to pretty much seasonal and anything that's outside.
To help them out, LG Electronics, along with home space expert Egypt Sherrod, surprised the family with a home refresh.
I came in to do a mini makeover with LG's amazing asthma and allergy products. They've got a whole line of appliances that are made just for this. The washing machine has a cycle called the Allergene cycle, and it helps reduce household dust and allergens. Just throw your clothes, you can throw your comforter in there, and it makes life that much easier. But my favorite is the LG Styler. You can take all your kids' stuffed animals, which is what I'm doing here today, throwing all his favorite little stuffed animals in there. It takes 20 minutes. Life's so easy.
For more info, go to lg.com/us/home free.
The Redemption Project with Van Jones, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
The House Judiciary Committee and the DOJ officials will meet tomorrow to try to reach a deal on the unredacted Mueller report. Barr missed a Monday deadline to hand over the report. Democrats are set to vote on holding Barr in contempt of Congress. Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu is here. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee, so let's get some answers from him, see what their next moves are. Congressman, good evening. So what do you think?
Good evening, Don.
Is there any hope that your committee and DOJ officials can reach a deal on getting the full unredacted Mueller report tomorrow?
Thanks for your question. Let me first say the Trump administration is hiding information from the American people and stonewalling Congress at every turn. And if they're going to bring a flamethrower to this knife fight, then my view is we have to do the same. We have to fight fire with fire and have all our options on the table. One of them is contempt. I hope we don't have to use it this Wednesday, but we will if we must. And if Attorney General Bill Barr doesn't provide the unredacted Mueller report, we're going to hold him in contempt this Wednesday.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because you said on Wednesday you're gonna hold the Attorney General in contempt of Congress. But I mean,
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, but what do you do? Is that just symbolic? Will it make a difference to an administration that is stonewalling you at every turn? I mean, they're just going to say, okay, fine, in contempt. What is that going to do? Then now what?
So it's not just symbolic, which is why you see the Department of Justice now trying to negotiate a way out of this. Once the Judiciary Committee holds Bill Barr in contempt, we send it to the House floor. If the House votes to hold Barr in contempt, it triggers two things. We can go to court and litigate the issue. And second, it also triggers inherent contempt powers that Congress has, where we can take actions against individuals without having to go to court.
Okay, so inherent contempt, which could mean a fine or even jail time for the Attorney General. Do you think it'll go that far?
So you're absolutely right. In the past, Congress has imprisoned people for violating congressional subpoenas. I don't think we're going to go that far, but certainly the matter of levying fines on people who disobey and disregard lawful subpoenas, that would be a possibility. It should not be our first option, but we need to absolutely consider doing that if the Trump administration simply keeps ignoring Congress's subpoenas at every turn.
So he doesn't want, the president says he doesn't want Mueller to testify. But now an official is saying it was just an opinion, telling CNN it was just an opinion. Is the committee on track to bring in the special counsel on May 15th?
So we are actively negotiating with special counsel Mueller's folks directly. You see the Department of Justice and Trump's advisors backtracking on what Donald Trump actually said, because they know there is actually no legal reason to keep Robert Mueller from testifying before Congress. Prior special prosecutors like Leon Jaworski during Watergate and Ken Starr during the Clinton administration both testified in front of Congress. So should Special Counsel Robert Mueller as well.
So can you just clarify this for us? Mueller is still a DOJ employee, right?
That is my understanding. I'm not exactly sure
then what will
why
your
he
committee
still
do
is.
then, if so? And I was asking rhetorical. All right. So then what will your committee do if the Attorney General blocks him from testifying? Because he's still an employee of the DOJ, which means that Barr is his boss.
That is correct. We could still issue a subpoena for any witness to come before Congress to testify, whether or not they are an employee of the Department of Justice or any other federal agency. We hope we don't have to do that. We believe that not just Democrats, but also Republicans want to hear Robert Mueller testify. And in addition, the American people need to hear Robert Mueller testify.
Okay, so listen, the Treasury Secretary, and you know, Steven Mnuchin, refusing to hand over the president's taxes. Do you think he should be held in contempt of Congress?
So right now, Steven Mnuchin is violating the law. There is a statute on the books that very clearly says that the tax returns of the president shall be provided to the House Ways and Means chairman if he so requests, and our chairman has made that request. So there's really no way around this. This is black letter law. It's plain as day, and I don't see how Steve Mnuchin can come up with this decision to simply violate the law. So Congress is going to litigate this, and we will win that court case.
Congressman Ted Lieu, I always appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Don.
President Trump awarding Tiger Woods the Medal of Freedom today. He is a great golfer, one of the greatest ever. He's got an amazing comeback story. Should the president be giving the medal to someone who's also his business partner?
Bear presents A Job Well Done. Painting be done and stay done.
Done, 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 done.
Behr Premium Plus, a top-rated interior paint at a great price. That keeps all you're doing done. Find it exclusively at the Home Depot.
Guys, I've got an idea. Ooh, what is it? So people love iPhone XR, right?
Well, it does have an incredible camera.
And it comes in all those amazing colors.
Mm-hmm. What if we give the people iPhone XR when they join T-Mobile?
iPhone XR on us?
Yeah, iPhone XR on us. What's not to love about that?
For a limited time, join T-Mobile and get the awesome iPhone XR on us.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment.
Book now and enjoy free unlimited open bar and more. Norwegian Cruise Line. Feel free.
Shaving has been difficult for me. I have very sensitive skin. I get ingrown hairs, so it's a daunting task. Oh, I love it. It's a great razor. It has that fence in the middle. It gives a nice smooth shave. Just stopping that irritation, that burn that I get is really life-changing.
It all comes down to a single, defining moment. When a plan stops being a plan and gets set into motion. Today's Merrill can help you get there. With the people, tools, and personalized advice to help turn your ambitions into action. What would you like the power to do?
I'm working to make each day a little sweeter.
To give every idea the perfect soundtrack.
To fill your world with fun.
To share my culture with my community.
To make each journey more elegant.
I'm working for all the adventure two wheels can bring.
At ADP, we're designing a better way to work so you can achieve what you're working for.
Fact, we all love video doorbells. Voice assistants have changed our lives. We now control our home with a touch. Indoor and outdoor cameras help us keep watch. We want to guard our digital lives. And hold tight to our loved ones everywhere. And you know what's better than all these things by themselves? All these things together from the most trusted name in security, ADT.
A huge honor today for golfing great Tiger Woods. President Trump awarding him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in a ceremony in the White House Rose Garden. And I want to talk about this now. David Swirlick is here, Rick Riley as well. Rick is a sports writer and he's the author of Commander-in-Chief, How Golf Explains Trump. So good to have you both on. This is fascinating. Rick, I'm going to start with you. It is no doubt that Tiger Woods is a phenomenal golf player. But President Trump and Tiger Woods have a long history of business partnerships. Should the president be using his power, his office, to raise the profile of a business associate of the Trump organization?
Yeah, I think people might be surprised to know that Tiger has designed a course in Dubai for Trump. Trump's the operator, but Trump calls the shots on everything that happens at his courses, and that's surprising. The thing that shocked me, really, was that Trump cheated Tiger Woods in a match in 2017. Hit 2 balls in the water, Trump didn't see, hit it on the green. Tiger said, "What are you putting for?" And Trump said 4, when he was actually putting for 7. I wonder if he whispered that in his ear as they were slipping the medal over his head.
You said that Trump didn't see, you meant Tiger didn't see him do it, right?
I'm sorry, Tiger didn't see him take these 2 drops in the water.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's surprising that Tiger would accept this award is that Trump believes golf, and he said this 3 times publicly, should only be for those who can afford country club memberships. He thinks it demeans the game, public golf. Tiger Woods is all about the Tiger Woods Foundation, which teaches golf to underprivileged and at-risk kids, along with education. So how does he explain that? How does he reckon that with his kids that look up to him? He just took a medal from a guy who doesn't think they deserve golf.
It would be, I mean, if someone said, I want to give you the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I mean, it'd be hard to say no, but...
It would be. It would be.
Yeah, but, you know, if you want to stand on principles, and plus Tiger's an icon anyways. But David, listen, this award is typically given to someone at the end of their career. What message is the president sending by awarding it to a 43-year-old Tiger Woods now? I mean, he's not at the end of his career, that I know.
Right, that's right, Don. I mean, the Presidential Medal of Freedom often goes to people who have a body of work that we think of as having made this major contribution to American culture, American life, not someone who's sort of making a comeback actively, who also has this business relationship with the president. But that's where we are in America with President Trump's presidency, that this kind of conflict of interest, if you will, hardly rates. It's nothing compared to potentially favorable treatment that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, got with respect to his security clearance. It hardly rates with respect to foreign leaders booking at the Trump hotels to possibly curry favor with the Trump family. And so in the scheme of things, yes, I think it's worth pointing out, but at the end of the day, Tiger Woods, on his own, as Rick said, even though he's mid-career, has made that contribution by bringing golf to a wider audience. And I would argue, although some might disagree, that by being an African-American in a mostly white milieu and being a biracial guy in a mostly white milieu, he paved the way in some ways for President Obama, at least in the culture. When President Obama came along, you already had this black figure who had this wide crossover appeal.
Is he?
By the way,
go ahead,
John,
respond to that, Rick. Sorry.
No, I think he's exactly right. I mean, Joey Cora, the winning World Series manager, has refused to come to the White House because he's from Puerto Rico and he's standing up for what he believes. I mean, Tiger Woods is the very symbol of what's that?
It's Alex Cora, right? Is that what you?
Sorry, Alex. Tiger Woods is the very symbol of bringing golf to a new generation of people, people of color, people all over the world. And he's going to take this medal now. He's only 43. Nicholas Palmer, Charlie Sifford, the other 3 golfers that got it were much, much later in their careers. He could get this from any president he wants it from. I understand it's very tempting, but to me, Trump put him in a tough spot. There's Alex Cora. He put him in a tough spot. How do you turn down the president of the United States? It's sort of a star-humping maneuver by Trump, like who's the hottest athlete we can get to make me look good. And, you know, it did work today. So I could see how Tiger would have a hard time turning it down.
So what do you think about that, David? Because Alex Cora, the team manager, says that he's not going to attend. He's uncomfortable celebrating, while his native Puerto Rico is still recovering from Hurricane Maria. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is look at this and get back to the idea that this is America and this is a free country. I think you can really see why Alex Cora and some of the other players of color on the Red Sox declined to want to come to the White House when you have a president who over and over again makes statements that denigrate African Americans, has not been forthcoming and taken his responsibility seriously with regard to Puerto Rico. And I think people need to look at that and say, hey, these guys are making a principled stand, and that's part of their freedom. And at the same time, Tiger Woods has a different personal relationship with President Trump. It's not maybe what everybody would want. It's not maybe what I would want. But Tiger Woods has that right and that freedom to go up there and accept this Medal of Honor because he believes it's an honor that he apparently believes that he deserves. And I think that's fine.
Well, 7 black and Hispanic Red Sox players not going. Go ahead, Rick. What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, it's just, Tiger always tries to dodge this question when we ask him. It's always, you know, it's not about the man in the office, it's respecting the office. And yet he went on Stephen Colbert, and Colbert asked him to run over and tell us about all the presidents you played with. And he listed Bush, and he listed Obama, and he listed Clinton. And Colbert goes, well, what about Trump? And Tiger got this big grin on his face and said, you said presidents. So he doesn't really respect Trump as president, but he doesn't have a whole team to hide behind like the Red Sox. It's just him, and I guess he was in a tough spot. I just think Trump was just totally totally jumping on an occasion to get the most popular guy in the world maybe here and give him an award.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Rick. I think this ultimately is about choices. No one is looking to Tiger Woods to be a LeBron James or a Steph Curry, let alone a Colin Kaepernick. But once you've made that choice, and you're free to do that as Tiger Woods and accept this honor from this president or any president, then you've kind of gone out there and said, okay, I see this as more important than some of those other things that Rick was mentioning. And that's okay, as long as we understand that other folks, like some of these guys on the Red Sox, Cora and others, are saying, no, it's more important to me to stand on this principle than to just have a visit to the White House, even though I'm sure they want to go to the White House.
I've got to go. But listen, go ahead.
You know, Jordan said Republicans buy shoes too. That's what this is about.
Yeah, but when I spoke to LeBron James last year, he sort of mentioned, well, he spoke in terms of what David was saying, that at some point you have to take a stand, even as an athlete. Yeah, and it was a fascinating conversation. And guess what? Then he got attacked by the president on Twitter for saying that during the interview. Thank you very much. I appreciate both of you. See you next time. The president now says that Robert Mueller shouldn't testify before Congress. Why is he changing his mind? I'm going to ask the former Watergate prosecutor and Nixon White House counsel next.
That's how a home and auto bundle is made. So, what are some key takeaways from this commercial? Did any of you hear the bundle your home and auto part?
I like that, just not when it comes out of her mouth.
Yeah, as a mother, I wouldn't want my kids to see that.
Good mom.
To see, wait, I'm sorry, what?
Don't kids see enough violence as it is?
I've seen violence.
Maybe we turn the word bundle into a character, like Mr. Bundles.
The top of the bundle to you.
My kids would love that.
Captain, there's something big ahead. There's bacon, pancakes, French toast. It's breakfast.
No.
That's a breakfast from IHOP.
Attack!
Breakfast. Order online and save $5.
Yes, I'm doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. Month after month, and I still have belly pain and recurring constipation. So I asked my doctor what else I could do. And I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess is not a laxative. It works differently. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
I'm still doing it all. The water, the exercise, the fiber. And I said yes to Linzess for help with belly pain and recurring constipation. Ask your doctor.
This year, Ancestry isn't celebrating Mother's Day. We're celebrating Colleen's Day, Julia's Day, Marie's Day, and all the one-of-a-kind women we call Mom. Ancestry DNA tells a story as unique as she is, with an engaging new experience that can help her uncover rich family details. Give her Ancestry DNA for Denise's Day. And at just $59, grab one for Jeff's Day too. Order a kit at Ancestry.com.
Travel and dining just go together. Now Kayak and OpenTable let you earn travel rewards every time you dine. With just one reservation on OpenTable, you can start saving money on hotels with Kayak. Get started at kayak.com/dining rewards.
If you just want a slice of pizza, you don't buy the whole pie. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why pay for more than you need? For as low as $20 a month, you can get talk, text, and data from Consumer Cellular with no contract and connections on the nation's largest wireless networks. You'll also receive award-winning support. Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service again. Plus, AARP members get exclusive discounts. Switch to Consumer Cellular today. With our 30-day guarantee, it's completely risk-free. Call, go online, or find us at Target.
Thursday, former FBI Director James Comey and AC360 Town Hall, live from D.C.
People who know better have to have the courage to stand up and speak the truth.
Anderson Cooper moderates, Thursday night at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
With moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, your plans can change in minutes. Your head wants to do one thing, but your gut says, not today. If your current treatment isn't working, ask your doctor about Entyvio. Entyvio acts specifically in the GI tract to prevent an excess of white blood cells from entering and causing damaging inflammation. Entyvio has helped many patients achieve long-term relief and remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a